Hey, good evening everybody. This is P-Mobs again, or good day, if I may say, because I don't know where you're watching from, the part of the world. Thank you very much for staying tuned all the time with us and joining us on this channel. God bless you. As you all know, this month is about domestic violence. Last week, myself and my guest dig deep into domestic violence, but it was we called that one introduction because a lot of our viewers have requested for us to do to go more deeper into the types of abuse and where you can get help. So tonight again, I'm here with Asedu Joel. You're welcome, Asedu. Please.
Hi everybody.
Yes, Asedu Joel is here with me again to go through the types of abuse and where we can get help. Thank you very much for joining. And remember, if you're joining us for the first time, you've never been on P-Mobs before, remember to click on subscribe and then click the notification bell so that anytime we post a video, you'll be the first to be notified. And also like and invite your friend to our channel. Thank you and God bless you. Amen. Okay, I said we're back here again.
We are
back here again. Our viewers want more about this domestic violence. May I say something? There's a disclaimer. I was talking to one of our women yesterday actually, and she was saying, jokingly saying that she was saying to her husband that she needed money for something, and her husband said, "No, you're spending money too much." She said, P-Mobs said that's an abuse. So then a disclaimer, I'm just putting a disclaimer out there. If you're overspending, is different from financial abuse or economical abuse. Or if your husband thinks that you're overspending and you know that you're overspending, please stop overspending. Or you and your husband agree together how to spend the money, and please obey that rule. Do not use P-Mobs as an excuse. We're talking about real life issues of women that are going through this financial and economical abuse, which is one of the ones we're going to talk about tonight. Please do not abuse your husband or your wife, or take it as a joke in your home, and then take it as what is that thing? Take it as a thing to collect money from your husband, as a means to collect money, to scare your husband off. Please, thank you very much. A disclaimer. I said to Joel, today, as I was doing my research, so I'm sure you've done a lot of research, I saw different types of abuse, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? Anyway, maybe you start with the one I've got physical abuse, I've got emotional and psychological, which can be tied together actually. I've got financial abuse, and I also have some example of threatening abuse. So I'm not sure which direction you're going this evening, but
I think we have to sort of first of all remind our viewers about how domestic abuse can occur. So usually when people say domestic abuse, we always have this thing in our mind that domestic abuse is only between husband and wife, or boyfriend and girlfriend for those who are not married.
Sorry, I said you mentioned boyfriend and girlfriend. I think some of our viewers that are single, and our young ladies, our young men, did request that we should make sure that it covers that area as well. Yes.
But that is a wrong perception, because domestic abuse does not just limit itself to that category. If you're talking about just husband and wife, or boyfriend and girlfriend, or partners in an intimate relationship, then it is intimate partner abuse.
Intimate partner
because abuse. You are then talking about two people that are involved in an emotional relationship. But when we're talking about domestic abuse now, we're talking about abuse that can happen between husband and wife, between partners, boyfriend and girlfriend, between parent and sibling, or sibling and parent, between housemates or roommates, because that's something that we don't often acknowledge, that my housemate or my roommate can be abusing me, because it is happening within a domestic setting.
So we see it as a norm,
yes,
or it's a part of life.
You just feel that, oh, my roommate is aggressive or is domineering. No. Check some of those attributes, and we're going to go through the different types. Domestic abuse also relates to when you have siblings. So siblings can abuse each other.
Wow.
So it is not just
husband and wife, or girlfriend and boyfriend.
No. So let's just have that at the back of our minds and be aware of it, because a lot of time when people say to me, "Oh, I don't see that as abuse," for instance, there's a case that readily comes to mind, and they didn't deem it to be abuse. They just felt that one person has got a very domineering, character, and the other person is very docile, very placid. So, but the domineering friend,
that's between friends,
is abusing the placid one.
Wow.
So everything is controlled. So we need to, please, listeners, viewers, we need to be careful how we interpret domestic abuse, or how we interpret our friendship. So when we start to talk about the different types now, because what I did was to sort of make, a note based on the questions we got.
Yes.
So you have economic or financial abuse. Now, this shows itself in several ways, where the woman or the man or the boy or the girl is deprived of access to finance. So you have in some circumstances, the abuser sets a very tight budget and insists on seeing a receipt, and if the price of something goes up without permission, they are queried. Why? So you overspend by a certain amount of money. Why didn't you ring me from the store to ask me if I can buy it?
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
So that can be seen as an abuse?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Because we go to we go grocery shopping. You and I don't know what's going to change. You have no idea what the price of what's going to change. So if somebody has produced a list and say buy A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and you go and you know that this person will fly off the handle, and the price has gone up by 50p, 60p, and you think it doesn't, and you get a telling off for not consulting about that. I have seen that happen, and not happen just once, where this individual became very fearful.
Wow.
I'm not sure if I should buy it. I have to ring to, and I'm thinking that is not right. But
it's not the case of maybe we can't afford to buy it. Let me ask my husband, is it okay? It's a fearful one.
Yes. Another example is where the woman or the man, the young lady or the young man is working. You are not allowed access to your money. Somebody else is controlling it, where you are asked to pay the money either into a joint account or into the one person's account, and you have to request and you have to justify when you request for your own money what you want to do with it. So it happens
for your own hard-earned money.
Yes,
you're still begging or requesting to spend the money that you worked out for.
Exactly.
No, it's not as if whether you're planning to buy a house or you're planning to buy a car, and you both agree to put the money together for something and save it. An agreement.
But in some
not
cases,
forcefully
you have the abuser use such plans to deprive one person of access to the finance, because you say, we've agreed we're going to buy a house together, we want to buy a car, we want to pay children's school fees, we want to do this. One person spends without feeling guilty. The other person is not allowed to spend, because anytime you try to spend, the response is, we're saving to buy a house. We're wanting to buy a car. We want to move. We want to this. And then you are always on the back foot in where you feel, okay, I have to give up this because So it's common in what people term friendships. This you know, sort of abuse is common in, you know, people call it my boyfriend or my best friend, you know, is very good financially, so they keep my money. And then they have access to your money, you don't, and then they begin to dictate what happens
to that money,
to the money. Please, if you are in such a friendship, such a relationship, you know, where you have no access to any sort of finances, you're working, you can't access your money, or you're not working, you're a homemaker. You know, by a homemaker, I mean, you know, you're a stay-at-home mom or dad, and you cannot have access to joint finances without one person say so. That is an abusive relationship.
Wow.
So don't just sit there and say, I can't spend without XYZ's permission. Insofar as it is agreed that the money is owned jointly by the both of you, unless one person has a gambling problem, for instance, you know, where, or someone has you know, an addiction to whatever it is, and so the money is withheld to prevent them from spending on drugs, or all those sorts of things, or gambling.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yes, then you know, that is understandable, because you know, steps usually are put in place for somebody to have that sort of authority over someone else's money. But where you just hand over your money, you know, that is dangerous. Another one that I came across recently, you know, in the last couple of years, which surprised me, is bride price abuse. This is economic abuse. You know, and this shocked me because the situation was that they had gone abroad to marry, and so she would have to repay him every single dime he spent.
Are you joking?
And therein started a traumatic ordeal for this lady.
Wow.
So she was not only working to contribute to the household running and you know, management.
She was paying her husband for this trauma.
Yes, she was paying her husband back.
Is the man sleeping with her?
Yes. And she didn't see it as abuse, because she felt, and this is how sometimes, you know, you get to a point where you start to justify some strange behaviors. She felt that if she settled the debt, things would improve. But how much debt can you really settle? You know, how much can you, you know, how it
will never end for such a man, because he would keep the money.
Yes.
Even when you finish, you will find something else that you've done that you need to pay for.
It just blew my mind. And in trying to say, you should be speaking to somebody about this, have you spoken to your family, and are they aware that he's taxing you here?
Just because of what happened?
Because of what happened. And, you know, the response wasn't a very positive one, so she just resigned herself to
fate. F-A-T-E.
So please, ladies, gentlemen,
young adults,
both
male and female,
please, if you find yourself in a situation where you are told you have to refund the cost of a wedding, whether, you know, it is traditional African rites or any other cultural ceremony you have engaged in, please seek help. Please. Then we go on to...
Or you went on a date with a guy and the guy paid for your meal and everything, and just because you looked at another guy whilst you're seated, or the another guy admires what you're wearing and actually complimented you, and he said because he came out of his house, the time that he has spent coming out of his house, you have to pay for it. Tell him to go. Tell him to go and park himself somewhere. It's a time for you to run. It's not the kind of man that you will marry. It's a time for you to pick your shoes and actually, let me show you the kind of run you will run. Have you ever watched Scooby-Doo before? You know? Have you ever watched Scooby-Doo before? This guy will finish the race on his feet and then suddenly he will just Pia! That is the kind of race you should take.
Scooby-Doo
from such
or Speedy Gonzales.
Exactly. Don't even look back.
Don't
be sentimental. Because your whole life depends on it. Thank you, Asidu.
Then we have psychological or emotional abuse.
That's even deep, Asidu.
Yes.
I've learned that is deep.
That is.
And do you know what? A lot of us are going through this in all our marriages in some respect, at some degree.
And we don't acknowledge it.
Yeah. We are all going through it at some level and some degree.
Yeah.
One is better than the other.
We don't acknowledge it because we've never really been told about it, and we've never really been exposed to how it operates in individuals. Because we often say that's the way he behaves, that's the way she behaves, you know. He has a bad temper, he has a this, he likes to know where I go all the time, and he wants
it's
to
because he loves me.
Yeah, please.
He's just checking on me, he cares about me. It's a lie.
And that's the most dangerous form of abuse. Wow. Now, under emotional psychological abuse, you have coercive control. Yeah. Where subtly, through statements and comments that are made, you begin to...
You're incapable of being a mother?
You begin to change your outlook.
You're not good enough.
You are afraid to take decisions.
Yeah.
And part of that, gaslighting.
Gaslighting, oh my God.
So, and gaslighting is where somebody crawls into your headspace. That's the way I like to describe it. Dangerous. They stay in your head rent-free. And everything you do,
and they control it.
You second guess yourself. Yeah. So you keep asking yourself, could it be? Am I good enough? Maybe I'm not taking the right decision. Maybe I ought to check. And things that you should feel confident enough to do, you are not. Your self-esteem is slowly eroded. Yeah. You have no feeling of self-worth. You know, you don't feel you're ever enough or ever good enough.
That's why I said you to cut it short. You know, sometimes your self-esteem can go down because of your background, where you're coming from to start with. And then you now get into friendship or relationship, it doesn't get better. Because already, maybe you have been abused as a child. Maybe you have been second-guessed as a child. Maybe you have been put down growing up so much that you found a friend and you thought this friend would actually be a good friend or a boyfriend or even a marriage. Boost your confidence. But rather they even made it worse. So it's now getting more and more difficult for you to come out. It's now becoming a norm for you. That maybe that is who you are. That is who you're supposed to be. A piece of advice. That is not whom God has created you to be. God has made you to be very important, beautiful. The word of God said we are made in the image and the likeness of God. So that means that you are beautifully and wonderfully made. Everything about you is beautiful. If you're listening to us tonight, you are made beautiful. Every single thing about you is what is beautiful. Write that down. It's beautiful. You are beautiful inside and outside. No matter what that guy is saying to you, what that woman is saying to you, what that young man is saying to you, what your boyfriend or girlfriend is saying to you, you are beautiful. Believe it and it shall be yours. Thank you, Asidu. I just have to throw that in.
But that's true. Yeah, that's true, because the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so he is.
Yes. Ooh, I have another one. I got another one. You are the CEO of your thoughts. I borrowed that from somewhere yesterday. You are the CEO of your behavior. So as a CEO, you are the chief in command of chief executive officer of your life. If you allow evil in, it will stay. If you allow glory in, it will stay. If you allow foolishness to come into your life, it will remain. If you do not arise as a CEO of your life and combat foolishness and get over it and recognize who God says you are, I don't know what kind of a CEO you are. Thank you. I just thought I'd put that in.
But that's really necessary. Other forms of emotional or psychological abuse is intimidation. Many young people are intimidated into relationships, and they feel that this person likes me so much, he or she just won't let go. So he follows me everywhere, she's everywhere I am, you know, they come round, and then you start feeling like, I can't get away from this person, so I might as well give in.
Don't give in.
That is a form of psychological abuse. Then you have isolation.
Isolation, that's dangerous. Isolated from families and friends.
Where you are isolated from family, you are isolated from friends, you are isolated from work colleagues, you are afraid to share with anybody what you're really and truly going through because you don't know who to trust. Your trust has been so broken and your self-esteem is non-existent. So you recoil and you dwell in that place of complete and total isolation. Another one which many of us are aware of is verbal abuse.
Oh my God.
You know, words are just thrown out.
Sorry, Asidu, before you move on, their isolation one is quite dangerous. That isolation one is quite dangerous as well. Especially at this season of lockdown.
COVID and lockdown.
It's even worse.
Yes.
I've heard that Leicester City Council are receiving so many calls from domestic abuse.
Yes.
So it's isolation is worse. We that nobody is tying me down, I feel isolated because the government said we should
stay home.
Stay home. I feel isolated. I suddenly start feeling that I need to travel out. I need to get out.
To do something.
I'm you know, I'm busy morning till night. I'm doing something, but I feel isolated because
you don't.
I couldn't go out as I should go. I would love to go out. Nobody is holding me down, but the government is holding me down. Yes, I have missed my family. I've missed my friends. I've missed going out and doing things. Do you understand? So, and I can now imagine somebody living in a house that is filled with abusive men or women or even partners or friends.
The dangerous bits about, you know, isolation is a lot of people who experience isolation in plain sight.
Jesus.
So we see them, we know them, but we don't know because they can't voice it, because the abuser or the dominant individual is always around them to make sure that there is no opportunity for them to speak up.
And if, do you know what? So you know, these people that are isolated, from the movie we watched last week about that lady, she went out. She was isolated, but yet she was able to go out when this guy go to work. She still couldn't speak about it.
During her grocery
runs. And you know what you said about enter into the
crawl
brain.
Into your headspace.
The guy had crawled into her headspace so much so that she couldn't even confess to somebody that this is what I'm going through. Please help me.
She kept leaving her notebook in the hope that
purposely that they will read it.
I think because of who he was and believing that it was private,
he didn't open it.
He didn't read it.
He didn't read it.
And when he asked, she couldn't even say, I wanted you to read it. It was then after the police had come in that he put two and two together and realized that the reason she left the book
was for him to read.